tired. My head is spinning like a top. In this wasteland, I wonder if it ever stops. Something hit me like a freight train from a million miles. I wonder, baby, could we ever make it out this time?
Rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, even on a Whip 'em Out Wednesday, it does not matter who the host is. Anyways, how are you? I mean, seriously, how are you? Anyways, today is Wednesday, July the 26th of 2023. Day 207th of the year and only 158 days left to go. We are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Yes, infiltration, Radio Big is a good combination of things to talk about. Anyways, today's Whip 'em Out Wednesday, so today is the day to whip 'em out. There is no doubt about that. If you want to interact with the show, it's a simple process of doing so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com, and, whip 'em out. There you go. That's the stuff that goes on during Whip 'em Out Wednesday. So a lot of stuff going on today. We're going to talk about things that are happening. We'll get into some news of the weird, talk about some things that get a little bit strange for some, but we'll talk about all that kind of stuff. No problem about that. If you're not familiar with the show, we talk about safety in the news and safety, and then we do the main story. We talk, and on certain aspects, we make fun of stuff. We poke the bear. We take a look around and go, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we like. This is what we don't like, and all that kind of fun stuff. So don't worry about that. That's what we'll talk about. We'll get into some news of the strange today. We do have some professional broadcasters that are hanging out, just waiting to talk about what the hell's going on what they've been working around. So don't worry about that aspect. And then the other side of the whole thing is, as we're getting you all of this lovely information, well, you can stream it. You can podcast it. You can, video stream it as well. Or, now the whole video podcasting, whatever the hell that means. So there you go. You have the streaming options. You have the aspect of doing it via the radio, which is our preferred method because it is a radio show. One day I will do the radio show here fully, just with no podcast, no aspect of video. That way we can do it the way that it's meant to be heard. Because what happens right now is that we have limitations. The moment that I do video and the moment that I do a podcast with this content, and let me explain why. I can't hit any commercial music, especially on the podcast or in the video aspect, because all the censors on your little networks of social media tend to freak the F out. Why did I say the censored version? I don't know. So they freak the fuck out is really what it boils down to. So I can't really play anything is really what happens. So that's what happens. That's why we're so limited. But let me not get into that because we'll be here all day if we start going down that whole aspect on why I do what I do and what I don't do and all that other fun stuff. But with that being said, let's tell you real quick about what the hell was trending in the overnight because you're going to want to hear it.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so in taking a look around, more insights into the future of X and a historic skull fragment returns home. We'll talk about that as we get into the shit list this morning. Brownie James is recovering after suffering a cardiac arrest, and Doja Cat has angered some of her followers. I guess that's important. Dwayne The Rock Johnson makes a sizable donation to striking actors. And Cillian Murphy wants to play Ken in Barbie sequel. Okay, cool. And then a return to the United Kingdom, and officials say the royal duties hit yet another roadblock in Sussex. I guess that's important. And then we're going to get into our traditional stuff that we go down the rabbit hole of the things that are happening inside of the world. So there you go. There you go. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. What do you think? Should we do it? Should we bring in the pros? Should we bring in the pro broadcasters? I think we should. So let's do that right now and let them talk away about what the hell's going on.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. The blistering heat that's been broiling much of the South and the Southwest is now invading the Midwest, pushing afternoon highs above 100 degrees. Forecasters are warning that the heat and humidity could last for days. NBC meteorologist Michelle Grossman.
We have that heat dome that we've been talking about for weeks. It continues to be widespread and large and spreading this heat. That jet stream is so far to the north, so it's allowing all this heat to come in. It's sort of like a heat pump. 111 in Las Vegas, 118 in Phoenix, 102 in Lubbock. Even as far north as Rapid City, 99 degrees. Chicago, it's going to feel like 97 degrees. Today, once you factor in the heat, Minneapolis feeling like 100 degrees.
The heat and humidity are making conditions even more miserable for people in a region already choking in smoke from wildfires in Canada. Smoke is now fouling the air over Chicago, where the air quality index on Tuesday hit a level considered unhealthy for sensitive groups. A federal judge is striking down the Biden administration's new rules for asylum seekers at the southern border. More from Mark Mayfield.
The judge ruled against the new rule that allows immigration authorities to deny asylum to migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border if they did not first apply online or seek protection in a country that they passed through. The judge put the ruling on hold for 14 days for an expected appeal. The ACLU brought the lawsuit against the administration, arguing that the policy is unlawful.
Congress will hold a much-anticipated hearing on UFOs today. Brian Shook reports.
Former U.S. intelligence official David Grush will testify before the House Oversight Committee following his recent claims the government recovered technology of non-human origin. He'll be joined by former Navy pilots who've reported multiple encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena. Tennessee Republican Tim Burchett accused the federal government of hiding information on UFOs from Americans and Congress, and said Wednesday's hearing would focus on transparency.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in the UK, I'm John Beaver. Thousands of people have been evacuated from coastal communities in the Philippines as a typhoon sweeps through the region. It's likely to hit China later in the week. Russia's defense minister and a senior Chinese government representative are the first official public visitors to North Korea since the outbreak of COVID-19. And opposition parties in India have brought a no-confidence motion against the Narendra Modi-led BJP government.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
Doctors are warning that exposure to extreme heat and air pollution may double your risk of a heart attack. A study published this week in the journal Circulation looked at over 200,000 heart attack deaths in a heavily populated province in eastern China and found there was a significant association with extreme temperatures and high levels of air pollution. The study suggested that older people and women were at higher risk.
We gotta start making changes. Learn to see me as a brother instead of too distant.
Police are revealing what they were looking for after they executed a search warrant in the Tupac Shakur murder investigation. According to the Daily Mirror, the Las Vegas Metro Police Department confirmed that .40 caliber bullets were found in a house in Nevada which belonged to Dwayne Keefe D. Davis. On top of that, manuscripts, computers, phones, and digital storage devices that belonged to the former Crip member were also collected. The bullets are going to be tested to see if they have any link to the bullets that were found in Tupac's body. No arrests have been made in the case since Tupac was murdered in 1996. An Alabama woman who claims she was kidnapped after seeing a baby on the highway is admitting it was all a hoax. Lisa Taylor with more.
2 weeks ago, Carly Russell disappeared for 2 days after a phone call led police to believe she was abducted. Police were unable to verify her story, and on Monday afternoon, Russell's attorney announced she didn't see a baby and she wasn't kidnapped by anyone. She said she worked alone and nobody helped her hide during the 2 days she was missing. Russell also apologized for her actions and said she's seeking help for personal issues. Her attorney says criminal charges are possible and will be announced if and when filed.
A recent Gallup poll finds that religion is falling as an important part of Americans' lives. 58% of people surveyed said religion is extremely or very important, down from 65% in a survey from 2001 and 2002. At the time, religion ranked 6th in importance for people's personal lives. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show. Self-implode on our airwaves. Only on Safety FM.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Radio Big. Streaming 24/7 at radiobig.fm.
So do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now, that live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/1. That's safetyfm.com/1. That's ONE. So just in case, and you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Hey, I just have to say, a lot of people enjoy that sound. I have a lot of questions that I ask people, particularly in that particular regards. Anyways, it is 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Yes, there you go. Anyway, so let's get into it. Let's get into the shit list of what the hell is going on across the multiverse, the multiplex, the whatever you want to call it, and we'll go from there. Anyways, Axios has gotten its hand on Elon Musk's plans to transform Twitter from their mere social media site into X, the everything app. The primary source is a biographer Walter Isaacson. Yes, who's been following Musk around for months. Isaacson says that Musk had the idea for the online platform that helps content creators earn money for more than 25 years. Worth remembering, though, Musk made the first big chunk of money when PayPal sold for $2002. And back in 2002 for $1.5 billion. He pocketed about $100 million from that sale, and that's so he understood the online payment portion a long time ago. Musk also said that X transforming the news industry, making it easier to pay independent journalists for their reporting rather than having to rely on news filtered through layers of bureaucracy in big media. And by the way, Isaacson is biography is due out on September the 12th. So there you go. I want to say, isn't that the guy that's that also did Steve Jobs' biography? Don't hold me to that. I mean, I'm thinking that it was. I don't know why, but I just think that it was. Somebody might want to quote me or not quote me or look it up and let me know, because that might be the better thing. Or I should just look it up as I'm talking about it, because that would be easier in regards to just splurring the stuff all over the place. Anyways, a survey sponsored by Bankrate says that only 35% of Gen Z reliability tips their servers as a sit-down restaurant. By contrast, 83% of baby boomers always leave a tip and are more generous even when it comes to taking care of food deliveries and Uber rides. The Gen Zs reached adulthood amid the pandemic when food delivery and takeout became a new normal. As the youngest adults, they have had very few resources for money, but instead of curbing their budgets and cooking at home, they're still going out to eat, but stiffing the help. I don't know if I believe all that, but this is according to Fortune. So I don't know. Here's the thing. I think that the tip generation has really become a weird thing. I'm still having a hard time with this, and I know that I've talked about it several times on this. If you hand me something, like I'm going to a McDonald's, which I don't go to, by the way, but if you're handing me something, I don't understand why that should be a tipped thing. I just don't understand it. Maybe somebody can explain it better to me. And I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, if there's service provided, it's a different story. But handing me the food, is that really service provided, or is that just part of what you're doing for your job? I don't get it.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so UPS appears to have reached a deal to avoid the strike that many feared would again grind shipping and logistics to a halt across the country. The tentative deal still needs approval from the union's 300,000 plus workers. Over the next 5 years, workers will get a $7.50 raise and curb some of the overtime requirements. This is coming via CNBC. So if they would have went into strike, which there's still a potential, you know that this would have halted so many weird things. Like yesterday, I'm sitting around at my house, and I'm waiting for my package to come via Amazon. And I did not realize that it was coming from UPS. And I was just thinking that I've been trying to avoid anything coming via UPS just because I've been freaking out about what's going to happen. I know. I get weird when it comes to strange stuff that I read. Sometimes I think I'm better off by not reading some of these things. But, hey, it does happen in that particular fashion. So imagine if this thing does not get signed. Another strike. And what's going to happen with your packages, right? They're just going to sit there for a period of time. Or is it going to be like the year where the NFL had the replacement players? Maybe that's something to think about.
They're good. They're very funny.
They're hilarious. They just be whoever they want to be.
It's just really funny.
Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, pieces of skull believed to have belonged to Ludwig van Beethoven are now residing in the Museum of Medical University of Vienna after having spent decades in the U.S., discovered businessman Paul Kaufman in a safety deposit box in France following his mother's passing in 1990. The fragments were passed down from her great uncle, Franz Romeo Seligman. Seligman was a physician, a medical historian, and anthropologist in Vienna who reportedly acquired the pieces of the skull back in 1863 when Beethoven's body was exhumed for research purposes. Kaufman told CBS that the DNA samples will be taken from the fragments and compared to the hair samples of Beethoven to confirm. This is via CBS. Is this really something you want to be bragging about? I mean, I'm kind of confused. I have fragments of a skull. Seriously, I mean, should we, if at this particular moment in time, we would be playing the Misfits' The Skull song, if we were just doing radio alone. But think about that for a moment. Is that something that you would want to have ownership of? It's just kind of weird. It's a weird thing to talk about, just in general. Anyways, in an attempt to hinder over-tourism, Amsterdam cruise ships terminal may be shuttered. Yes, the city council has approved the proposal of banning polluting cruise ships and is now looking into how to implement such a ban. Amsterdam is expected to see more than 18 million overnight visitors this year. By 2025, that number would reach 23 million, in addition to another 24 million to 25 million day visits. Under a 2021 ordinance called Amsterdam Tourism in Balance, when the number of overnight visitors reached 18 million, the council is obliged to intervene, which was now trying to see what the hell they're doing. In another effort to curb over-tourism, the council has announced a ban on the use of marijuana in the streets and taking steps to discourage alcohol in the red light district. I've been told that red light district has changed significantly over the years. It's not being as visited as much. Now think about that real quick. Banning alcohol and then the use of marijuana in the streets. I mean, listen, it's neither here nor there depending on how the hell you take a look at it. But have you ever been to a place where people can smoke on the street? Contact high is real. There is no doubt about that as we are talking.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, anyways, talking about contact high, let's go ahead and do this real quick. Why don't we get some information about what the hell's going on inside of the market? Let's bring some John Small in here.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Wednesday, July 26th, 2023. Brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. Equity markets advanced Tuesday on optimism that earnings from tech giants like Microsoft, Apple, and Facebook would impress. Expectations have been driving these stocks higher, so it will take solid results to continue the trend. If the news is less than what the market is looking for, it could spark a correction for the S&P 500, which advanced about 0.50% at the session's high and set a new one-year high. The FOMC poses another risk for equities this week. They're expected to hike interest rates by another 25 basis points and could issue a hawkish statement as well. The market wants an indication that the rate hike cycle is over, and it's unlikely to get one. The odds are high that inflation will remain hot through the summer, leading to another 25 basis point hike in the fall. Regardless, the economy and the market must adjust to the new normal, and conditions are only getting tighter. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at MarketBeatMinute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information. Here's what I was able to find. Take a listen to this. The Dow added about 26 points to close at 35,438 on Tuesday. The S&P added about 12 points to close at 4,567, and the Nasdaq added about 85 points to close at 14,144. West Texas Intermediate closed at $79 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $83 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was at $3.63, making that it was up by 4 cents. Bitcoin was mostly flat on Tuesday, trading just around $29,200. There was more than 4,145 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Tuesday, and more than 720 cancellations. Tonight's Powerball drawing will be for $41 million jackpot or a $21.2 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, you can do so. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there as we are talking. For sure. So there you go. Anyways, let's take a look at some other news on what is going on. Should we talk about, should we do this? Yeah, the State Department says that the U.S. Marine who was previously imprisoned in Russia has been hurt while fighting in the Ukraine. NBC's Peter Alexander has the latest.
U.S. officials are expressing real concern that because of his actions, it may make it more difficult for the U.S. government to try to bring home 2 other Americans right now detained in Russia.
Okay, Trevor Reed is now receiving medical care in Germany after reporting stepping on a landmine. Reed was arrested in Moscow in 2019 for intoxication and sentenced to 9 years in prison. He was released in a prisoner swap last year in exchange for a Russian drug smuggler. Wall Street Journal journalist Evan Jerkovich and former Marine Paul Whelan are still being detained in Russia. So there you go. Anyways, you heard a little bit about the heat wave. Let's talk a little bit more about this. There's dangerously high temperatures forecasted from heat wave moving into New York City area. Scott Pringle has the latest.
Well, this will be the hottest stretch of the summer so far coming up. The thermometer will reach the lower to mid-90s over the next few days, with the heat wave peaking late Friday. That's prompting heat advisories and excessive heat watches. Governor Kathy Hochul urging New Yorkers to use those common sense precautions, including staying out of the sun, staying hydrated, and checking on neighbors. Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
Okay, thank you, Scott Pringle, for that information. Take a listen to this. Investigation searching for suspects after a 4-year-old, a child, and a man were both grazed by bullets in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Scott Pringle has more.
Police say 2 men got into a shootout near 94th Street and Amsterdam Avenue around 12:30 in the morning. This was by the WS Deli. Now, after they were done firing, they took off, but not before leaving a 4-year-old and a man with bullet wounds to the leg and foot. They were sent to the hospital. It's unclear what led to the shooting. Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
Yep. Well, how crazy does that get in regards to talking about this? Take a listen to this one. The Federal Reserve wraps up the 2-day meeting today, and another interest rate hike is widely expected. Michael Kastner has more.
Last month, policymakers pressed pause on rate hikes for the first time in 15 months. Officials have been striving to bring inflation down to 2% by increasing rates all year long. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell's post-meeting comments will likely provide insight into what's next for the central bank's policy and how it currently views the state of the economy. I'm Michael Kastner.
Okay, thank you, Michael Kastner, for that one. Take a listen to this. Are you in Iowa? If you are, you're going to like this. Iowans will have the chance to shop tax-free during the first weekend of August. Take a listen.
The tax-free weekend comes as back-to-school shopping gets underway. Clothing items and shoes priced under $100, along with diapers, will not be subject to state sales tax. However, many items are still subject to tax, including backpacks, folders, and pencils. I'm Andrew Houdt.
Okay, thank you, Andrew, for this one. Investigators are trying to figure out what caused an explosion in Virginia on the I-81. Richard Sterling has more.
Traffic is moving on Interstate 81 again in Shenandoah County after a gas line explosion. Drivers saw flames shooting into the sky yesterday morning on the side of the road. This shut down both directions in Strasburg, causing traffic delays for a short time. TC Energy also shut down the pipeline, saying it detected a pressure drop but doesn't know why yet. The exploded section was isolated and no one was hurt. I'm Richard Stelling.
Okay, let's describe a short time here. If you have both sections of a highway closed, what's a short time? Because if nobody's moving, there's some questions to be asked. No doubt about that. Anyways, Richmond voters will get another chance to decide if they want a casino in their city. Take a listen.
The elections office announced yesterday it has received approval to put the issue on November's ballot. Voters rejected Urban One's casino plans 2 years ago. This time, the company is partnering with Churchill Downs to build a casino, hotel, restaurants, a public park, and a live entertainment venue. Mayor LeVar Stoney supports the project. He says it will change the economic trajectory of Southside for years to come. I'm Richard Stelling.
Okay, thank you, Richard Stelling, for that one. So what do you think? I think the casino might be an interesting aspect in regards of taking a look at it. Anyways, voters in Ohio will decide whether to legalize and protect abortion rights. Take a listen to what Jack has to say.
The groups trying to get an abortion rights constitutional amendment on the Ohio ballot turned in over 700,000 petition signatures. They needed about 414,000 of them to be valid and represent 44 of Ohio's 88 counties. The Secretary of State has now confirmed they did just that. So that issue will be on the ballot for voters to decide this November. I'm Jack Crumley.
Okay, thank you, Jack, for that information right there. Take a listen to this. Mayor Johnson from Chicago and federal officials are assessing flood damage to homes in Chicago's West Side. Johnson toured the area yesterday to evaluate the aftermath of the July 4th weekend storm.
We need every single resident in the city of Chicago who has been impacted by this storm to call 311 and to make sure that there's a full assessment of their damage.
The Federal Emergency Management Agency assessment is the first step in getting a federal disaster proclamation. In response to the disaster, Governor Pritzker declared a disaster proclamation for several Illinois counties, including Cook, enabling the state to seek federal assistance. So there you go. Now, I'm going to tell you some news here, and let's take it a little slow in regards of what I'm going to share next. But new data shows a resurgence of COVID-19. Here's what Mark Mayfield has to say.
The CDC says COVID hospitalizations have risen by more than 10% across the country. Their latest report shows that over 7,100 COVID-19 patients were admitted in the week of July the 15th. That's up from 6,400 the week before. It's the largest percent increase in COVID hospitalizations since December. The report says COVID emergency room visits also jumped in the past month. A CDC spokesperson adds, however, that COVID rates in the U.S. are still near historic lows. I'm Mark Mayfield.
So let's talk about that real quick. So if you start seeing a spike in COVID rates, what are you going to do? I mean, there's so much different information that's out there currently about COVID, especially after sitting around for 2 to 3 years, depending on what segment of the planet you were in, of what will you start considering in regards of hearing of everything that's going on? I'm just asking the question because you know that this is going to be a subject of conversation if you start seeing more spiky Ikeys going up in that particular regards. I'm just asking. So are you ready if things are on the verge of changing, or are you going to look at it and go, I'm not going to do anything at all? It's questions to be asked, things to be considered. Oh, yeah, I know what I have to do next.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, it is 32 minutes past top of the hour, so let's do that thing we do.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Main story, Rated R Safety Show. All kinds of, interesting stuff. So yesterday, I was on one of these weird calls that I get to partake and interact with other companies. And believe me, it's not that it's weird. It's just something that I've never thought would actually happen. But it is a fun time when I get to sit down and talk to different organizations on what is going on in their neck of the woods and taking a listen to what is going on. And for some reason, one of these weird conversations became conversations of what to do when people call in. And there was a whole plethora of call-ins at this particular one job site where people were talking. And the person that I was on the phone with referenced several different things that had occurred, but got to the point that told me about a call-in that occurred and why a person could not come in. And listen, the things that they were talking about varied significantly. And I'm talking varying from health issues like flu, talking about issues with COVID, of course, talking about issues with child being sick, and no problem whatsoever. You know, we even had, because it was a large organization, a mental health day, which I get that, you know, all kinds of interesting stuff. But we got into one that they brought this up, and I thought it was kind of a weird one. It was kind of a weird one. And I didn't know how to respond. And I'm going to bring this up probably against my better judgment of doing this, but let's talk about it. If you have somebody who calls in and they tell you that the reason that they're calling in is because they were injured by a sex toy, how do you handle that? Now, I want you to hear what I said there. They call into work. And let's say, for instance, you're the person that, you know, this stuff gets reported to. And they say they can't come in because they were injured by a sex toy. How do you handle that? Now, depending on organizations and how you have things set up, some organizations require that if you call in sick, that you to bring in a doctor's note. How do you go about that one? Because I thought it was very, very weird. Number one, that somebody would call and let you know that. Number two, that this was brought up on this particular call. And number three, how do you handle a scenario depending on what's going on? So, of course, this got me to go into the information of the weird. And I started looking up all kinds of weird stuff because that's just kind of what happens. And for some reason, I landed on the 7 of the worst and weird sex toy accidents. Yeah, 7. And I mean, there was some pretty interesting stuff on there. A young man in Croatia had a bright idea a few years ago, but rather than a light bulb appearing up above his head, he found one instead inserted into his anus. Now, I'm going to tell you, this wasn't the information that was brought up during the call, but man, it was kind of a weird one because I didn't want to ask the question of what occurred, but I wanted to ask the question of what occurred. And the interesting part was that this was brought up, and I asked them how did they handle it, and they did require that the employee/team member to bring in a doctor's note. And it wasn't that they already were bringing in a doctor's note. At the point of the phone call, it was brought up to them that they should have somebody call in. Or not call in, excuse me, somebody actually come in with the doctor's note. I was so confused by that because let's talk about this. Number one, the embarrassment has already occurred that they called you to let you know this. Now, all of a sudden, they have to go to a doctor to find out what, or to let somebody know exactly what occurred. It just gets very strange inside of that world whatsoever. So I guess my question that I need to get to, because there has to be some level of a point to this. What is the strangest reason that you have ever received somebody calling in to work for? Or if not, let's flip it on the other side of the coin. What is the strangest reason on why you have ever called in to work? I know. It gets very weird when you start thinking about things in that aspect.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You're listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and we're not 100% sure on what they meant. Things as mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
It's this show, and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Rated R Safety Show.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, and listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you. Currently 42 minutes past the top of the hour. And by the way, thank you for the weird messages being sent across the multiverse here, because I didn't think that things could get any stranger, but man, I guess they could. I'm just glad that they were not graphic pictures, but I appreciate it. Anyways, with that being said, let's talk real quick. This right here is the Rated R Safety Show. Hour number 1 of the Jay Allen in the Morning Show. This is a 3-hour show, so if you want to come out after this show and you're not already on Radio Big, just hang out for hour 2 and 3. We do mostly music during that and talk about the world of entertainment. This right here that you're taking a listen to, this is The Way We Left It by The Interstate. We would like to thank The Interstate for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. You can give a little streamer emer action to what they have going on. All you have to do is go to YouTube Music, Apple Music, or Spotify. That will get everything rolling for you, because that will tell you about everything on how it goes. Yeah, good times. Yeah, something is good about the way we left it. So, there you go. Anyways, let's get into the move and the groove of the things that we need to talk about. Thank you to the Interstate once again about, letting us play this. But let me tell you about the most important thing that I'm ever going to tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. We want you to know that people have been where you are now, and things can get better. Healing is possible. There is no doubt about that. No ands, ifs, and buts about it. No big buts. That's for sure. To find out more information, all you have to do is to go to TWLOHA.com. TWLOHA.com. Now, listen, I'm going to tell you, I have the information. We talked about it briefly a couple weeks ago. But To Write Love on Her Arms does have a nifty little app that they have readily available that you can go to their website and find. And all you have to do is go to the little section inside of their website where everything is there. If you just want to go to your favorite app catcher, it's easy to go to. All you have to do is go to the section and look for the one that's called the Hopeful app, the Hopeful app. All kinds of great information inside of there, no doubt about it. Take a look around. If you want to just go directly to their website, you can do that as well. TWLOHA.com. Go all the way to the far right-hand side section and click on the section that says Find Help. Listen, there's probably nothing more crucial than you can do if you are struggling. And I always look at this as kind of one of those interesting subject matters on where you can have the discussion and realize that this might not be the only thing that you can reference. This can not be just the only thing that one of these things that you can use for just yourself. It can be for others as well. So keep that in mind as we are talking. Okay, so let's continue on, talk about some other things that are going on inside of this world of our multiverse, because why would we not do that? So take a listen to this. Boogie Broke. Yes, it's a latest financial trend sweeping the internet. And what exactly is Boogie Broke? Well, as you know, inflation has just hit about everyone hard, and Boogie Broke involves dispensing advice on how to live in the high life on a small budget, often done in a humorous ways. It came from TikToker Josh Jacobs, who posted a video last year saying that, have you ever been broke, but no one believes you because you don't look like a broke person? The thing is that you are broke, but more than like Boogie Broke, like that you are broke. The vid went viral, and people on TikTok and YouTube began using the phrase and to voice the showcase of Boogie while broke lifestyles. Here are some of the Boogie Broke tips that have been shared. Use peel and stick wallpaper to spruce up the living space while renting to avoid losing the deposit while moving out. If you're hit by the urge of furniture shopping, instead of move to an existing the furniture around, this means it's swapping the decor and different surfaces to different rooms. It feels brand new. Fit a room with LED lighting and sensors to make sure that luxury put on a budget. In a recent newspaper article suggestion, including a serving budget of champagne super cold and making your partner shop at a discount stores and avoid being seen there yourself. My wife's discount habits is one of the reasons why we're Boogie Broke, that's for sure. And I have gone on the illusion of keeping up appearances years ago. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is a trend that you're seeing across the board or if this is a trend that you're actually using yourself. Maybe that's something to think about. Take a listen to this. Burger King in Thailand is at it again after making a huge splash earlier this month by introducing the real cheeseburger, a bun filled with 20 slices of cheese and no meat. Now it's done the opposite. Say hello to the real meat burger. 3 patties on a bun, and that's it. No pickles, no onions, no lettuce, no ketchup or cheese. Nothing. And of course, if 3 plain patties aren't enough, you can add as many as you want. But of course, for a price. BK's official Thailand social media channel shows variation of the new burger, and one of them featuring 100 patties, according to the blogger, who posted the video showing him ordering the 100-patty Sammy, which cost him $291.51. The equivalent to in US dollars, of course. The 3-patty burger is going for about $10 US, give or take. And can I get cheese with that? Might be the other question that you might want to ask. And 3 plain patties, so it's like a kid's burger, but adult size. Maybe that's something to think about.
It's this show, and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, I'm sure that it's super cheap as you think about it as well. Anyways, take a listen to this. 2 South Carolina cities are listed among the top 25 places, the best drivers in the country. So now you know that people are going to be thinking about that anytime they go to this section. Take a listen.
Online insurance researcher Quote Wizard evaluated driver quality from the 70 largest cities. Greenville ranked 23rd and Charleston ranked 25th. Quote Wizard said the cities were ranked based on their rates of incidents, including accidents, speeding tickets, DUIs, and citations. I'm Tyreek Gwynn.
Okay, thank you, Tyreek Gwynn, for that information right there. So what do you think? Do you find that important? Let's stay in South Carolina for just a moment. Apple has announced a list of products eligible for South Carolina annual tax-free weekend. Take a listen to this by Matt McClure.
The Department of Revenue says from August 4th through 6th, items can be purchased online and in-store without paying the state's 6% sales tax or any applicable local taxes. Apple says all Mac computers, iPad models, printers, and accessories like keyboards, Apple Pencil, displays, scanners, and speakers will be available. The company also said AirPods, headphones, and flash drives can be purchased for school use only. I'm Matt McClure.
So there you go. I'm using everything for school. Life has been teaching me for a long period of time. No, I'm just kidding as I say that stuff. Take a listen to this. A man behind bars on suspicion of threatening people at a movie theater in Oxnard. Daniel Martindale explains.
Police were called to the Cinemark Century River Park at about 9:30 Tuesday night. Moviegoers say the 62-year-old man walked into a theater, started yelling, and held up what appeared to be a handgun in a threatening way. Police evacuated the theater and detained the man. It turns out he was actually holding a taser. He is facing disturbing the peace and weapons-related charges. I'm Daniel Martindale.
Okay, let me ask a question here. How do you hold a handgun in a threatening way? Like, what do you have to do for this to be considered you're holding a handgun in a threatening way? I'm just asking the question because I'm morbidly curious on how that would actually work. I mean, seriously, think about that for just a moment. You were holding a handgun in a threatening way. So, I don't know. Kind of gets kind of weird as we are talking. Anyways, let's talk about some other things that are going on inside of this worldo of ours. Take a listen to this. President Biden is pushing for insurance to improve access to mental health care for Americans. Trey Thomas reports.
Biden announced a proposed rule Tuesday to strengthen requirements so health insurers cover behavioral health at the same level as physical health.
Mental health care is health care. It's essential to people's well-being and their ability to lead a full and productive life.
The rule is expected to be published in the Federal Register next week. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, thank you, Trey Thomas, for the information right there on what is going on inside of the world of the multiverse. That is for sure. Anyways, with that being said, let's do this. Let's bring some John Smalls back in here and let him tell us about what the hell is going on with the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Andy. Charles Colson said, "I know the resurrection is a fact, and Watergate proved it to me. How? Because 12 men testified they had seen Jesus raised from the dead, and they proclaimed that truth for 40 years, never once denying it. Every one was beaten, tortured, stoned, and put in prison. They would not have endured that if it weren't true. Watergate embroiled 12 of the most powerful men in the world, and they couldn't keep alive for 3 weeks. You're telling me 12 apostles could keep alive for 40 years? Absolutely impossible." I love that quote. No matter what you believe, it is hard to dispute that. Think about how hard it would have been for them to pull off a hoax of that magnitude. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
The University of Washington is increasing access to a new treatment for Alzheimer's. UW researchers are looking for people between the ages of 55 and 80 who are at high risk for Alzheimer's to participate in a study called AHEAD. The AHEAD study will measure and monitor the influence of lecanemab, which has slowed participants' cognitive and functional decline by 27% in previous trials. 3 men are facing up to 20 years in prison if convicted of firebombing a Planned Parenthood facility in Orange County, California last year. U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada says the attack was premeditated and that the clinic was targeted because it offers reproductive health care to women.
We're learning more all the time. What I will say is there are strong indications of animus towards women.
Their trials will start September 5th. Health Update, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Yes, it is. That's exactly what it is. Have you heard about this? More than 30 drugs may face supply chain disruption after a tornado damaged a North Carolina Pfizer plant. Lisa Taylor has more.
The company warned hospitals in a letter Friday about 65 formulations of those drugs could see disruptions. Pfizer said medicines like injectable fentanyl for pain management and the anesthetic lidocaine have less than a 3-month inventory level. The Rocky Mount facility makes close to a quarter of Pfizer's injectable medicines used in hospitals across the country. It's one of the largest facilities in the world for manufacturing sterile injectables. In Raleigh, I'm Lisa Taylor.
Okay, thank you, Lisa, for that. California is moving forward with a new approach to stimulant addiction, paying people gift cards as rewards of staying sober. Take a listen to this.
It's called contingency management. The model doles out financial incentives to users each time their drug tests are negative for stimulants. Unlike other opioid addictions, there are no medications such as methadone for stimulant use disorder. California was the first state in the nation to win approval for a contingency management solution. According to Dominic DeFilippis, Deputy Mental Health Director for the Department of Veteran Affairs, the program has been effective. I'm Brooks Walker.
Okay, thank you, Brooks Walker, for that. So what do you think? Do you think that's something that works? Financial incentives just for that. Something to think about. Anyways, take a listen to this. Back in 2020, Congressman John Lewis' body is carried over the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma with military honor guard as part of the remembrance ceremony. He had previously crossed the bridge back in 1965 as part of the March for Freedom of African Americans. During the march, he and many others were beaten by state troopers. Lewis passed away on July the 17th after a battle of pancreatic cancer. That happened back on this day back in 2020. If you're looking at some birthdays to celebrate today, let's talk about that. Elizabeth Gillis turns 30. Francis Rassa, 35. Miriam McDonald, 36. Monica Raymond, 37. Kate Beckinsale, she turns 50 today. I'm kind of surprised by that. Chris Harrison, 52. Jason Statham turns 56. Sandra Bullock, 59. Kevin Spacey, 64. Roger Taylor, 74. Helen Mirren turns 78. And Mick Jagger, he turns 80 today, just in case you were wondering. So that's what is going on. Today would have been Stanley Kubrick's birthday as well. He passed away back in 1999, just so you know. Yeah, you know, The Shining, Clockwork Orange, and Eyes Wide Shut, just so you know. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, it's National Aunt and Uncle Day, National All or Nothing Day, One Voice Day, National Coffee Milkshake Day, and Holistic Therapy Day. So that's some things to celebrate if you're into that kind of thing. Anyways, before I forget, let me tell you about this real quick. The Conklin Conference coming up September the 27th through the 29th in Orlando, Florida. Would love to see you there. You'll have the opportunity to hang out with Todd Conklin, Jen Long, Bob Edwards, Mark Yeston, Andrea Baker. For more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.io. That's safetyfm.io. Would love to see you there at the end of September. Anyways, if you need a random joke for today, I am sure I have one of those for you. I don't believe flying is safe, as they say. Have you ever seen an old flight attendant? Think about that. Also, if you need a phone starter for today, try this. What weird industry secret did you learn from a job? If you need a question for the water cooler, try this. 26% of us, we want to avoid doing this over the summer. What is it? Helping someone move. Keep that in mind. Anyways, thank you for coming out, hanging out, taking a listen to what we have going on. At the top of the hour, I'll be going over exclusively to Radio Big. If you stay on Safety FM, you'll get to hang out with Sheldon Primus talking about the world of safety consulting. Those are some options for you. Thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener. Without you, does not make a lot of sense to do what we do around here. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to swim. Think about that. It might get you to places that you never expected. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.